Okay, for freelancers, it's no secret that it can be really hard to focus. But if you're using ClickUp and Google Drive and Google Docs, you're really not helping yourself. You're probably wondering, what's wrong with Google Drive and Google Docs? Like, I use it all the time. But let me show you what your brain actually has to go through and process just to find one file. So you're inside of a task, and then you click over to Google Drive, and then you go to your main folder, then all clients, the specific client, the strategy folder, Q4, and the strategy doc itself, 7 clicks. Okay, but so what? You found the file, you knew where it was. What's the big deal, right? And what's this thing that you can do with ClickUp Docs that pretty much makes Google Docs and Google Drive obsolete? Now, no word of a lie, I've got almost 8,000 hours of track time in ClickUp managing clients. And that's only track time, so it's probably more realistically like 10,000 hours, which if we know anything about mastering something, 10,000 hours is what it takes. So I'm gonna let you in on 3 banger ways to use ClickUp Docs for freelancing specifically so that you can really understand why you would no longer mess with Google Drive or Google Docs. But before we get to that, let's go back to those 7 clicks, which for your brain is processed as 7 different decisions, and you had to change context completely when you move from ClickUp to Google Drive. It's kind of like when you're working and you get a text message and you stop to respond to it. When you go back to work on what you were working on, there's a bit of a delay, whether you realize it or not. So now watch what that same scenario looks like, but in ClickUp. Okay, so let's assume we're starting inside of a task, just like we did before. We open up the client notebook and everything is open as is. Literally the document is right here, which is 2 clicks. So 2 clicks, amazing. Not only that, but it allows you to stay in ClickUp, which makes it easier to stay focused on the task at hand. So here is how this works in ClickUp. So ClickUp Doc databases allow you to create nested pages that replicate your Google Drive folder structure. So instead of folders, you have docs that are inside of docs, all organized exactly the way that you're used to. So let me show you how to set this up with that very first banger solution that I have to share. And this is the client notebook. So I recommend having one of these within every client you have in the sidebar. This is a place where you can store strategy docs, audience research, brand guidelines, meeting minutes if you wanted to, like literally anything to do with the client that you would typically capture in a Google Doc. Now to create one of these, all you have to do is add a new view underneath of your client folder and select doc. So from here, we're going to call this client notebook. Now what you're going to do is add a page on the side here. And the first thing that you'll notice is that we have something called client notebook, but we also have something called client notebook. So what you can do is rename this one to say meeting minutes. And then here could be another one called strategy, like whatever categories you typically use in Google Docs can live inside of your Docs database. So anytime you want to add something within these categories, you'll simply create a subpage. And now you can see how it starts to create this database effect. So now when you go to access information for a specific client, if you have this set up for all of your clients, you'll know exactly where to go. And if you keep all of these things open, you can find what you need really quickly, which is very different than Google Drive because there's no drilling down. The drilling down is the worst part of Google Drive, if you ask me. So that's the client notebook, super simple. Now the second banger example I've got to share with you is around meeting minutes. So I did just mention meeting minutes. You can capture it inside of your client notebook doc database in the sidebar, or if you'd like to manage it separately in its own place, then I would recommend adding it as a view to your account management list. Okay, so this is where it makes sense categorically to live when you're going back to find it. Okay, I know exactly where it lives because account management, meeting minutes, those things go hand in hand. So you can start to see how it makes sense to strategically place docs around your ClickUp workspace so you can find them really quick. So I will just create exactly the same way that we did in the sidebar, but instead as a view. So we're going to create a doc. We're going to call it meeting minutes, and we're going to do exactly what we did here. You can create a template. In this template, you could have your, if you want to have attendees, topics, like however you typically lead a meeting, you could have it structured here so that when it comes time to create your meeting minutes doc for the next meeting, then I would just simply duplicate it, and then I'll rename it. Then you're just like off to the races. So that is the meeting minute suggestions. Okay, the third and final example of using ClickUp Docs for managing clients and freelancing is a reporting database. This one is a bit more detailed in that it requires some manual setup, but it can work really well. So I'll show you what I mean. So this is what it looks like in ClickUp if you don't customize your main page, right? If you have subpages within a page, it will automatically show you those subpages in this format. But if you wanted to go one step further and create a database that you can give your clients a link to, so that when it comes time to be like, hey client, there's a new report, check out your database, you don't have to send them a specific link, they can just come right here. And so I've got it nicely organized. So there is like, it's branded and it's broken out by season. And then each of these docs or reports have been hyperlinked. Now, the easiest way to link one of your docs inside of this overview page is to simply go at. And that will automatically, as you can see, it was moving through the different categories. It will automatically show you the most recent doc that you were engaging with, which would assume the most recent one would be the one that you were working on, and that will allow you to create this sort of hyperlink look and feel. Now, the other thing that you need to do is to turn off that subpages feature that I showed you, and you'll do that by opening up this sidebar and coming down to your show subpages. So I've just have that toggled off because there's really no way that you can style this other than just making them different sizes. So I kind of like to do it myself and categorize it as I see fit so that it is appropriate to be client facing. So that is the reporting database. So here's the thing. This is no attack on Google Docs and Google Drive. They are great products. Our goal is to sink into work and creativity and flow faster. No more jumping to Google Drive, losing your train of thought. Your brain gets to stay in one place, whether you need strategy info, meeting docs, reports, it's all right here in ClickUp. Thank you so much for watching my video, and I will see you in the next one.